Mr. George Tinsley, welcome to the Player's Perspective Uncensored podcast. It's good to be here. It's a pleasure to have you. Appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your day. Know you are a super busy man with all the endeavors that you got going on. It's a pleasure to have you here with Al-Haji Muhammad and myself.
Well, I'm excited to be here with you, and never too busy for a fellow Smoketown guy that has some roots there anyway, and to be able to take time out on a Sunday, which is a restful day, peaceful day, and so glad to be here.
You know, and I love the attire that you got on. You male bulldog from the hat to the shirt. You know, people don't understand the male bulldog pride. You have to go there to really understand the pride that runs deep in our veins.
That is correct, and I talk to people about that all the time. And after many years, it still runs purple and gold. We used to, and I'm sure you did also. They would say if you got cut, you'd bleed purple and gold.
You know it. Let me ask you this, Mr. Tinsley. Us being from Kentucky, bourbon is a big thing. Do you like bourbon? Do you drink bourbon?
Give you a two-part answer. The first part is yes. I could, because I'm in the bourbon business. Okay. And have a bourbon tasting academy there in Louisville at the Muhammad Ali Airport. So the big picture answer is yes. The second part of that is, do I drink bourbon? No. I had a bad experience as a sophomore in college that the smell of it comes sometimes. The smell of bad bourbon, let's put it that way, makes me sick of the stomach. So, yes, Pappy Van Winkle is top of the line. That if I do happen to taste, that's where I'm going.
Oh, you jump all the way to the big boy. No hey. Time for the under people. Got to go all the way to the top of the line.
Well, I started somewhere. As an elderly statesman, you try to refine your taste a little bit better. Growing up there in Smoketown, my old man used to drink that wild turkey. So that was some pretty rough stuff that he dealt with. Yeah.
Right. Now let's jump into the podcast, and the first thing I want to ask you is, coming up in Smoketown, the East End, Louisville, Kentucky, who were your inspirations when you were coming up? Who were some people that inspired you, and who was somebody that you may have looked up to on the basketball court that you may have wanted to pattern your game after?
Well, growing up in the East End, I lived over on Walnut Street, Muhammad Ali now. And then moved over to Smoketown when I was in junior high school. So, and from a standpoint of growing up in athletics, I really didn't have any one role model. It was kind of the community that raised you, both good and bad. They gave you the opportunity to make the choices of the correct thing to do. On the athletic field, I liked every sport. Basketball was not necessarily my go-to sport until I hit Ballard Park. Once I started playing over there at Ballard, your uncles used to beat me up all the time over there growing up, and so you had to survive, and we had guys come in from all over that were good players that played at Central primarily, and some guys that had played in Male, but basketball wasn't really that big in Male as football. So at that particular time. So anyway, as far as parroting my game, I was a rebounder, defensive player. It was not putting the ball in the hole. That came a little bit later as I got more and more confidence. I tried to pattern a shot, my jump shot, after a guy named Danny Lawson that played at Shawnee. Pretty jumper. And it just messed my shot all up. So it was one of those on the heel of your hand, patting it with your fingers to get that back rolls, the spin on it. And so I had to change that in high school. But I got it off the board and put it back in as a sophomore, and then it kind of evolved from there.
Now
so I just wanted to be a competitor and wanted to be as good as I could be and fitting. And I was more of a team player. and so I'd look more to fit in, and I was a great defensive player and rebounder at 6'5", even as a sophomore in high school.
Now, you went on to become a legend at Louisville Mill High School. You went from Louisville Mill High School to Kentucky Wesleyan. You led them to 3 national championships. You took 2 titles. You got drafted in 1969 by the NBA and the ABA. What made you choose to go and play in the ABA as to playing in the NBA?
Okay, let me correct just a little bit of that.
Okay.
In high school at Mill, I wasn't a legend. I was caught in between 2 legends, a guy named Dallas Thornton, who was a year ahead of me, and a guy named Ted Rose, who was a year behind me. Both of those guys got the publicity. They could put it in the hole. Dallas was a great player and competitor, so I fit right in there. I wasn't a scorer. I think my senior year, I averaged 18 points a game, but in between, I was always the rebounder, the defensive player, etc. So, and a great athlete from the standpoint of all the other sports, track, cross country, and so forth, which I participated in, which helped me develop my overall skill set, competitiveness, that got a scholarship to Kentucky Wesleyan, where I went in and started as a freshman there as the defensive guy. Once again, having the key guys were ahead of me there, but being a role player, it led to a championship my freshman year, NCAA championship my freshman year. Now, the 4 years I was at Wesleyan, we won 3 national championships, and the best team that we had, which was in my sophomore year, we actually came in 3rd place. And that's because, this is my story now, that's because I got sick and was not able to play against Earl Monroe in that particular group. So we lost that game, and we won the consolation game. So we actually went to the finals 4 straight years, won it three out of those years, which was pretty fantastic. Coming out of college, I got drafted by the Chicago Bulls and also by the Oakland Oaks and the ABA. Well, the NBA, you had to go try out in numerous tryouts before they were going to give you a contract. If you weren't a 1st round pick, you were not going to you didn't get a no-cut contract. So the ABA, which I got drafted in the 2nd round there, and they offered money right up front. So being a poor boy out of Smoketown, in Louisville, Kentucky, I grabbed that signing bonus, bought me a 1969 GTO, and I was ready to move on and give it a shot. Before I actually got to Oakland, the team moved to Washington, so that gives you a little bit about the stability of the ABA, because you never knew one year from the other where that team might be, because the financial stability of the ABA was pretty poor. So that's how I wound up with the ABA, money, and a choice that they were champions in the ABA that year. Rick Barry and Warren Jabali and a good group of Larry Brown, who later went on to coach. They were the top in the ABA at that particular time. So that's what made me make that choice.
Okay.
But then after making that choice, right away I get 5 to 6 games in the season, I get traded back to Kentucky, the Kentucky Colonels, and which was good. But the downside was the coach of the Colonels happened to be my high school coach at Mill my first 2 years. And he still saw me as a rebounder and a defensive player. And at that time, I'm a scorer,
Right.
I'm 3-time All-American, averaging 22 points a game and so forth. But we had Louis Dampier, Darryl Carrier, and a number of other scorers. So they got me in there to play defense on the small forwards. So that's a little bit of the evolution.
Mr. Tinsley, Haji Muhammad here. Before we start, my family send their love. Garnet Phelps and Molly Phelps. That's my family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I met you at the wedding.
Your Nas brother.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So, what I want to ask you, as a professional, we all three of us play professional, and when you play professional, you try to play professional as long as possible. You only played a few years. Why is that?
Got fired. You know, that's the bottom
I guess
line,
that
man.
that was
Get
simple,
fired.
huh?
You know, they call it getting cut and or whatever name they have for it. But I got released the second year of the Colonels because they were transitioning. They brought in Dan Issel and
Mhm.
Artis Gilmore, and so they were shaking things up. We had a new general manager and so forth. And I went back. I ended up the year probably averaging about 7 points a game coming off the bench and not getting that much playing time. I was a little bit of a thorn in their side because playing there in Louisville, I was getting a lot of people that were rooting for me. And,
Right.
our Smoketown guys show up at we played a convention center downtown and they put Tinsley in the game, so they had
Right.
a little bit of a problem dealing with that. But anyway, long story short, I got released and I played in the Eastern League the remainder of that year, then went back the next year and played down in Miami with the Floridians, which is now the Heat, and played that year. Then that team folded. I went to New York, the New York Nets at the time. They were out on the island. It's the Brooklyn Nets now. So at that time, I'd just gotten married, found my family, or another family, if you will, my real mother and father, and because I was adopted, and which made I had a lot of things going on in my mind. I had a college degree, which a lot of the guys did not have. So I had some choices given the amount of the average salary at that time. When I played, if you were making 25 grand a year, then you were doing well. I guess the highest salary may have been $60,000-$70,000 a year in the ABA at the time, and I never thought about going to the NBA. So I had choices, and one of those choices was to go become a school teacher and a coach there at Louisville Male High School again, which is my second dream of beyond playing professional basketball, was to teach and coach and give back to the players and students like those that helped me as I was coming along. So that's what went into the decision. I always, still wanted to play, but as I sat down to make that family decision, it made sense to start on the real deal. Because
That was
same thing could have happened the very next year.
yeah. See, that was gonna be my next question. Did you ever think about coaching? But since you said you went into it, I want to ask you, how did you get the name Coach Mister?
Well, from your uncle or your stepfather, going. What happened is at Mayo, I went there mid-season in Wesley Cox, that group in their senior year. And I started out coaching track and cross country the very first year. The very next year, the coach left, and the head basketball coaching job opened up, which Wade Houston and I both applied for. And I had a lot of respect for Wade, and he had prior coaching experience. So I told the staff there that I'd be willing to be assistant coach. And Wade and I had a good relationship, so we had Daryl Griffith, Bobby Turner, and Jeff Mack, and all those guys coming in. So I started coaching with Wade as his assistant coach, and so we had a great run there. Going to the state the first year, and we were runner up, and then winning it the next year, and then all the hoopla when the very next year we wound up losing to Ballot. Those guys had a propensity to fall every time you touched them, and so some of our guys that got in foul trouble, and
Not
and,
much has
and that
changed.
hurt us. Daryl's senior year, we should have won the state championship, possibly 3 years in a row. We had a great team. Yeah.
Nice. Now let me ask you this. everybody's always comparing eras, like great athletes from the 60s, 70s, 80s, so forth, up till now. You know, they're always comparing greats from each era. And you hear a lot of experts and former players talking about how athletes are bigger and stronger now and technology's better and guys have, you know, able to recover more because they have access to more modern things. I want to ask you something. What's something that was better back in the days than when you played than it is now? Because it seems like everybody always says everything's moved forward, everything's better now. But what's something that was better back then than the way it is right now when it comes to the game?
Well, you know, from the athletic ability, obviously, guys are better today than they were, you know, back when I played, or even before me, because they start out so early and they focus on one sport. Back when I came through, guys played every sport. You know, you played baseball, basketball, you did it all. So you really didn't have that time to really focus on one particular sport. Coaches wanted you to. Also, coaches didn't allow creativity. Back when I played in high school, if you drove behind your back, you come and sit down beside the coach. You know, that wasn't even between your legs. That was something that was frowned on. Now, if you were the star of the team, obviously they let you get away with some of that stuff. But you know, there's so many basketball. It's at the pro level is business. Okay,
Right.
so you take the business part of it, you take the marketing part of it, you take social media. You have that in one category because the name of the game is put butts in seats and for the teams to make money and the league to make money. So the 3-point rule, the 3-point line expanded the game out, took away the big man's dominance in the middle from standpoint of defense as well as a standpoint of offense. So, you know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, guys are shooting 3 points because you're getting 3 points versus 2 points, you know, and so as the game evolved, that's from that standpoint. I think just about every 10 years, 15 years, there's a new player coming on that, is all of that. And, it's just the team chemistry was a lot better as back when I played because guys played together longer.
Right.
You had racism also that entered into the game. So there was a certain amount of white players it wasn't written in any rule, but that's what was happening. A lot of
Right.
guys that were good players that just got cut because they wanted to make sure the demographics were what they needed from the business perspective. Guys went through 4 years of college, and you had to graduate from college or at least spend 4 years in college in order to get a chance to even step on a basketball court until Spencer Haywood came along. So a lot of guys got eliminated. There were guys playing on the playground that were better than guys, in the league, but they didn't go to college, so they didn't get
Right.
that opportunity to play. They couldn't even try out. So a lot of that went into it also. But when I hear people talk about the greatest player of all time and so forth, I mean, how do you leave a Bill Russell out of that? 12 championships or 11 championships, Sam Jones, and all the different players that play with the Celtics and so forth. So it's just an era, and how guys play the game. I mean, in my opinion, LeBron right now is. He's at the top of the heap. Michael at his time, what he did, was the best, and he had social media all around him. So it's hard to say.
Right.
That
Right.
those are the differences that I see today, and I understand the game. The fundamentals are not as emphasized as much today as they were back in the earlier days, and we were more robotic, if you will. You had to there were certain things you did before a shot was taken. You know, you had to pass the ball a couple of times. You had, you know, picking away and so forth. Now guys just create off an innate ability. I mean, a guy like Rondo, I mean, you know, he understands the game. You know, probably one of the best I know that are seen that understands the game, total game. LeBron's right in there with him.
Right, right.
And guys shoot today like, you know, if you took a shot 20 feet out back in the day, that if you missed it, you were coming out of the game. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, once you finished up playing, you went on to become a very successful businessman. What was the biggest part of transitioning for you?
Well, Larry, I went from playing to coaching and teaching, and enjoyed the success there because as a 20-something-year-old, I wanted to give back, and that was probably the top part of my financial standpoint. Wasn't weighing heavy until I got married and started talking about children, talking about growing a family. Then all of a sudden, you know, we got to make ends meet. So I understood that I had to do something different. So the FBI came to mail and had Wade and I go take tests, and you know, he was looking, I was looking also as the next step. And I got hired as an FBI agent, man, and
Really?
and was headed out to. I mean, people were up in Smoketown was saying, "Hey, man, Tinsley, FBI's around here asking questions about you," you know. Yeah. And I think some of the guys even maybe thought I was a member of the FBI at the time, but it was a different career set. It paid at that time, I think it was 14.5 salary, 14,500 as a salary offer. I was making probably $7,000 a year teaching and coaching in mail. So that was an opportunity. In between there, I got an offer to come out to KFC to interview for a job out there. Walt Simon, who played with the Colonels, who was a friend, invited me out. When I went out, they saw I had a teaching background, and of course having the name right there in Kentucky. I got the option or they made the offer for me to come out there and be an instructor, training instructor. I had no business background, but I had a teaching background. So
Right.
I learned the business real quick, worked right alongside the Colonel himself, the real Colonel. And we trained a lot of the new franchisees coming in. So as I matriculated through corporate America with KFC in the various different fields of training, operations in Atlanta, running restaurants there, and back to Louisville as a human resource director, and you know that part of the side of the business. Then going into franchising as a franchise manager, working with franchisees, teaching them how to make money and run their operations. You know, all of that skill set that I learned during that time prepared me for that next step when Jesse Jackson, Operation Push, came along and pushed a lot of these major corporations in opening their doors and making available opportunities for minorities to become a franchisee. So that's where the door opened up. And when I had a chance to step out and become a franchisee, you know, I was somewhat prepared, not totally prepared, but somewhat prepared to do that. And so that's how I transitioned into it. And now, from a financial standpoint, which is a big part of it, I didn't have a lot of finance, so I had a few family members help me out a few dollars, and and KFC had some banks that were set up to help them guarantee the minorities going into it. And fortunately, my first restaurant, when I opened it, it was $1 million restaurant right away. I mean, we had a good location. I had that experience as far as demographics, selecting sites, and looking at the full picture, developing it. So we were fortunate enough. My wife was right. You know, she quit her job. She was a head of a radio station. Matter of fact, there at WLOU, where her father owned there, and then down in Atlanta and down in Jacksonville, she had business experience. So when we stepped into it, we were prepared to take it and run with it, and we were pretty successful right out of the gate.
So you married into the money.
Well, no, no. I said, I said her father owned the radio station. She didn't have the money. Yeah, we were both school teachers. She was too. You know, so yeah, but we knew business. And we knew how to apply ourselves and not goof off. You know, and making it happen. So that's how it happened. That's how we got
Now
here.
I wanna ask you a question. I mean, we'll get back to the business part of it, but I want
Sure.
you know, since Larry's sitting right here, I want you to talk about a little bit about the battles, the volleyball battles when y'all used to whoop up on the old banners in the East
Oh
End.
Oh, the whole what?
Let
yeah.
them know. Talk to them about how y'all used to whoop on them. Man, you from the East End, but you played with most people from the West End, so
Well,
let them know.
at that time, I had left Smoketown and was living, I forget exactly, some Newburgh, living out in Newburgh. But what we had, it was a co-ed volleyball that we were playing, and played at Grace Hope and the field. And matter of fact, we played softball too. But we would come in and play the local guys there in the area. The O'Bannon family always showed up. All your uncles and aunties and you know, would always show up. And so we had some real battles of Hackett's and the whole group. You've heard about that, huh?
Yeah.
We even got trophies. Yeah,
they definitely told me about that.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What am I asking? What are some of the experiences from playing professional that helped you in the business world? How did it help you transition?
Everything that I learned from high school through college through professional athletics prepared me to go into the different world. When you look at all of this, it's basically all the same. It all comes from right here: being competitive, being a student of whatever you're doing, applying yourself, working hard, understanding that you're the competition. I don't care whether it's brother, sister, or who it is. You're in a competitive mode to be the best that you can be. But at the same time, you in athletics, you learn how to win, you learn how to lose. You know, you win, you don't go crazy with it. You know that the next step out, you're gonna be in another battle. When you lose, you know what caused you to lose, and you fix that. You go back to the drawing board and fix it. So I'm putting it kind of simple, but basically it's being aware of all the tools and resources that you have, making the right choice, applying yourself, understanding when the next guy's over here sleeping or goofing off, you're pressing ahead. You know, you're going into the fourth quarter, if you will, of whatever you're doing. So I always tell people, when I'm looking for developing a brand new site, I want to be where the competition is, because I know I can outshine them. You know, I can run a clean restaurant. I can make sure my employees are welcoming to the guests. That when a person comes in, I don't care how bad their day is, their hard-earned money that they're spending is ultra important. And you know, that's the job is to take care of them, make them feel good about spending their money. So it's and you know, same thing in athletics. When you're playing sports, you know, you look for the challenge and meet it. And you lose, you learn how you lost, and come back to for the next day.
Right. Now, correct me if my numbers are off here, but you own over 60 businesses between Kentucky and Florida and all across the United States, from restaurants to consulting. And what are the keys to operating so many businesses and making them successful?
Okay. The correction is that yes, we're in Florida and Kentucky. And that's it.
Okay.
And we're in a number of different brands. Due to the COVID situation, we've got a lot of restaurants that are sitting out there that are closed today, that are not open. In Louisville, we've got two restaurants open, one ours, one a joint venture that's open at the airport, with the remainder being closed at this particular part. We're going to reopen, but we're closed right now. So the key to success is having good people, you know, having a good team. And we've been very fortunate to have good team members to be with us for long periods of time. In our very first restaurant that we opened in 1984, we still have 2 employees from that beginning, and one is a general manager, and the other is just she's in a comfort zone of she manages the buffet at the KFC. But we do our best to treat them with total respect and reward them for our success, because we couldn't be successful without them. Anybody who's been with us 20 years, we buy them a brand new car. I'll just give you an example. So and each year we have situations where we make sure we acknowledge the hard work that they put out there. But the key is a great infrastructure and with good people that they understand where the goals and objectives are, and you have ongoing one-on-one communications with them, let them know where they stand, the good and the things that need to be worked on. Goes right back to sports, goes right back to teaching and coaching, all those skill sets that you learn. Got to be able to read people. I was God-given talent that I've always been able to read people very quickly and understand how to motivate them. Everybody has a different touch point that you have to touch to motivate them. So that's the key.
Right. Now,
and also being partnered up with good companies. In other words, if you're trying to make a choice about getting into franchising or getting into business, you have to be very selective of who you tie yourself in with. The brands, if you will, that have all of the different resources that you need, that you pay for, and you got to understand that you pay for to help you through different tough times, marketing, training, all the different advertising that you have to do.
Mr. Tinsley, I want to ask you, when you're looking to hire someone or an investor, what's the first thing you look for?
Well, there's 2 things now. From a hiring standpoint, we look for, depending upon what the position is or what we're looking for, we look for someone that's actually going to be able to fit in, do the job. Obviously, has the background, the skills, and so forth to do the job, and also the personality part of it. And we use different tools to do personality research to see if that matches up into our overall team or that particular team department that person is working with. That's even in the restaurant, at the management level, and we grow talent from within. We've been very fortunate over the period of time to have people come in and have been able to work their way through the business and then branch off and go do something else. We always encourage people to pursue their dreams. Just ask to make sure that we understand, in time when you get ready to leave or when you see yourself in that mode. But it's an ongoing process of making sure that you have a talent pool to pull from for the positions that are open. And that's kind of a broad answer to your question without taking a lot of time on it. But it's very important because your people represent you. I'm able to be sitting right here talking to you guys where we've got people out there running registers and taking care of customers that I've got to feel comfortable that they're doing the best that they do because they're representing me and our business. So you got to take care of them. There's no doubt about that. The investment standpoint of it is, it starts with a rule of thumb. You never go out and get an investor unless you actually need one. And then when you need one, you've got to make sure that they understand the business that they're investing in, and that there's not, just because you put $1 in doesn't mean you're getting $1 out tomorrow. There's a timetable performed out as to when we're going to do actual profit dissemination, or whether we're going to need to keep the cash flow in for future development. or remodeling or whatever that may be. That has not been our objective to bring on investors. We kind of grow from the standpoint based off of where we are and what we can handle with the infrastructure, and also with the projected project, because business, traffic patterns change, and with that could kill you. So you've got to kind of be involved in, let's say, a restaurant on the street. You got to be involved with the chamber and the local municipalities to understand what the 5-year plan is for the area, to know what adjustments that you need to make. But investors are needed at different points to be able to take on a project. So that's kind of broadly the thought process that we go through, and not growing too fast. And always remember this too, that bigger is not necessarily better, right? Bigger, you can be more successful with 1, 2, 3 restaurants than maybe with 20 or maybe with 30. So it you have 20 dogs, they can bring everything else down.
Right.
And I've been there and done that, is with respect to having to bankrupt a business, file bankruptcy on a business. And growing up, that's not a pretty thing, but from a business perspective, it's what you have to do to protect yourself. And then as you develop businesses, develop them on their own entity, their own merit, so that if something does go wrong, it doesn't drag the rest of the group down. So it's exciting to me, to continue to do it at 74. I still get excited about getting up every day, doing this thing and making it happen, relating to our customers and other business partners where we have joint ventures and so forth.
Nice. Now, you're also a motivational speaker, and you speak to different companies about how they can run their operations better. And you have a mantra that you go by. It's called turning obstacles into opportunities. What are some of the key principles to that mantra that you speak to different companies and different groups on?
Well, there's a lot of different stories that I use, Larry, with it, but from the base of it is where I've come from as an adopted baby that was raised by a 65-year-old lady who had one leg, couldn't read and write. That she took me in and raised me, and the community that was there that helped, because she got a Social Security check and $65 Social Security check once a month, and that's basically what we lived off of. And so coming from that kind of situation, which was a tough situation, integration in Louisville took place in the 50s, and I went from Frederick Douglass Elementary School over in the east end of Louisville to Nicholas Finzer there on Broadway in Louisville, which was an all-white school. They weren't that happy. Teachers weren't that happy about all of us coming in. Took tests. I failed the test because I couldn't. We weren't at the same level as they were,
right.
the students there, and so got put back a grade. And teacher called me up one day and said, "Why don't you just quit school?" Because a lot of that was what was happening, especially in the schools that were being integrated. Kids were dropping out of school and going to get a job to help out with the family, which was maybe a little bit different at Mazik or Jackson Junior High School, where families were in that structure. People in the neighborhood were the principals or the teacher,
Right.
and there was a little bit more of understanding of need, as well. A little tutoring here and a little tutoring there. Well, that wasn't happening then. So that was an obstacle. My very next year at Eastern Junior High School, which what became Warner Junior High School. I had a teacher by the name of Miss Howe, a little white teacher, beautiful lady, and the gym teacher. They took interest in me, and reached out and to help and motivate and so forth. So that was coming from a bad situation, which I could have thrown my hands up and just quit, because nobody was looking at my report card. Nobody was encouraging me to go to school. There was a lot of stuff going on in the hood and so forth. So, but in junior high school, this teacher and coach and so forth, they motivated me. And again, I was introduced to organized sports at the time. And so my turning obstacles and opportunity was at each point along my life where I ran into an obstacle, was turning that into an opportunity to turn it around, turning lemons into lemonades, if you will.
Right.
And so forth. I live right there at the corner of Hancock and Cowell. In my junior high school year, your uncle, so they lived right around the corner on Cowell there, and I almost set the house on fire one night because I was mad when the folks that I was living with, they only had one bed, and so my father, who became my father at that time, he worked at Bluebird Pie Factory, if you remember that, down on Broadway in Jackson. You may not have been around when you were coming along, Larry, but in that area. But he worked at night, so I had to sleep with his wife as a seventh grader in one bed, and she wasn't happy about that. I wasn't happy about it, so I would set up and I would, set the lamp on fire, there in that little place. But in a number of times during my development, I ran into a lot of different obstacles that I had to turn around and turn them into opportunities. So what I tell people is that from what I've gone through, remaining positive and putting your best foot forward, trying to turn everything that you run into that could be something to divert you or to stop you in your tracks, that using that as an opportunity to turn it into a successful venture.
Right. And as you know, that's one of the big things in athletics is accountability.
Yep.
Seeing the positive outlook, not making excuses, finding a way to get it done. And you definitely got it done on and off the court. So now we reached a part of our podcast that we like to call our burr-proof segment of rapid fire questions, Mr. Tinsley. So I'm going to shoot you some questions. Don't give it a lot of thought. Just give us your first answer. We're going to roll with it.
I'll give it a attempt.
Okay. All right. Who's somebody in today's game that resembled your game when you played?
I would say who is Green with the Golden State Warriors.
You just jumped to the top of everything. The bourbon game, you jumped to the Pappy Van Winkle, and now you jumped straight to the champion, Draymond Green.
I like his. I saw that's what I did. Rebound, brought it down the court, dish, and did the dirty work, defense, and motivated, and so forth. Yeah.
Right.
What is the best player you played against?
Dr. J.
ABA days.
ABA days.
Ooh, nice.
I wish that folks could have seen him play. I mean, he could do it. He could absolutely do it. I mean, there are a lot of players that did a number of different exciting things. I mean, Earl the Pearl Monroe. I love to watch him play in his game. I mean, he could do it. Clyde Frazier. Walt Frazier was a hell of a player. But Dr. J would be the best that I've actually played against. And I played against some pretty damn good guys. Yeah.
Nice. Which one has more pressure, making a pivotal business decision or late game free throws for the national title?
Late game free throws are easy. Making a pivotal business decision. Hey, Larry, I've won a number of games, man. So that's what I wanted to do. I always wanted to take that last shot. When in my freshman year, I hit the free throw that won the regional that vaulted us into the championships, which we won. So, I always felt that when under pressure, that was my best moment because I worked hard on fundamentals, and when it came down to that, I may not have been the best player on the court or on the team, but I wanted that pressure shot. I wanted the best player. I didn't care where he played. I checked Wes Unseld, man, when Wes was 6'8" and 270, and I'm 6'5" and 170, and in high school. So it was just what I love to do.
Love to compete.
Yeah.
Nice. I want to ask you, describe yourself in 3 words.
Honest, hardworking, and competitive.
That's what you need to succeed. That's what you need to succeed.
What you need.
What store would you say you shop at the most?
Yeah, for what?
Anything.
Well, it's a good question. I would say it would be like a Home Depot. I like to, even if I don't go in with something specific to looking for, it has a multitude of different options of things, that projects and so forth. That's on the, the hardware and all that type of, but from a grocery scenario would be, we're down here, we call Publix, which is big grocery store chain. And I like to wander there aisles and, talk to people. Not so much today at the COVID, but that's, I like that also.
Sound like me.
Now, and lastly, Amazon online. That's really got me here lately.
Yeah, Prime Day. It sounds like me going into Walmart, man. I don't even need anything, but I can walk in Walmart and find something that I can use.
Come out with something. Yeah. So,
now, let me ask you, when you playing 18 holes of golf, how many balls you lose? Golf balls.
Well, it depends upon whether we're playing best ball, scramble, or you're playing your ball. If I'm playing my ball, and depending upon how much water is on the course or how much high grass and so forth, especially down here in Florida where we have alligators and snakes, I may lose. I'm not a golfer, first of all, but I may lose 5 balls. But I play in so many different celebrity tournaments and so forth that, you get all these balls and bags and everything else. So it's a business opportunity to fellowship and so forth. So as I said, I'm not a good player. I like to drive it now. Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can drive it. I can drive it sometimes pretty straight.
I don't think I've played, man, and I've lost less than 2 packs of balls. Like the little 3-packs, I done lost at least 2 3-packs every time I done played.
Yeah. Well, when I first started, when I first looked at the golf game, there was a guy that I worked with named Walt Simon that played with the Colonels, and he was a heck of a golfer, like Wade Houston. Wade's a heck of a golfer. Probably could have played pro as in the senior bracket, but I figured that now if these guys hit this ball, hit it straight, they're not rocket science, I mean, hit it.
Right.
It just didn't work out, man. I hit the ball that may dribble about 20 feet.
Now, were you a quiet guy when you played, or were you a trash talker?
As I got better and matured, trash talker became more of a trash talker, but it wasn't. It was more trash talking and challenging, and not negative kind of trash talking. That in the hood, and you guys may have heard about the dirt bowl, right? Yeah, well, we made the dirt bowl, and we had a lot of trash talking there, starting at I just saw somebody there. Yeah, we had a lot of trash talking starting at the dirt bowl down at Algonquin Park and moving on into Coach Mister. Coach Mister. Yeah, going back to that Coach Mister comment, there was a student that we had at Male High School that would always call the coaches Coach Mister. And she was a little girl, and she used to call Garnet and myself Coach Mister all the time. So we kind of picked it up and called each other Coach Mister. And Wade Houston. Wade Houston, Garnet Phelps, and myself, we were the three amigos there at Mayo and teaching school. So
nice.
Okay.
Nice.
You know, we all make mistakes in life. What's one mistake you made in your life that you learned from?
Well, I would probably say from a business standpoint, I bought 4 restaurants one time, and I didn't do the due diligence that I needed to do to make the purchase. I was excited about growth opportunity, and probably 5 years into my business career, and so I purchased the 4. Didn't do the proper analysis and other due diligence, and we failed. So and I had to bought them from the corporation and turned back around and had them bound back because of some things that were unseen that should have been noted earlier in the purchase or pre-purchase, you know. So that was one mistake that kind of set us back, and that was a great learning experience. Other than that, there's been a number of things that I look back on, wish I could have done them different, you know, and it will continue also. So, you know, you try to be smarter and try to take your time and analyze things. Sometimes emotions jump in there, and you got to move fast on a project and get you in trouble sometimes. So,
right.
But making mistakes not a bad thing. Making a mistake is not a bad thing. It can, and that's another part of being a former athlete, especially a professional athlete, that helps you understand it's not the end of the world, and learn from it and move forward. I learned when I first went to work with corporate America that how executives handle pressure. I mean, they would just flip totally out, and that's something we as athletes, you learn. You know that you're not always going to be perfect. You're not always going to do it right, but you're going to get another chance. And the next chance, you're going to be smarter and you're going to do it better. Plus, people, as you mentioned about the last shot, thousands of people in the stands, you know, as an athlete, you don't hear them anymore, right? You're zeroed in on what you're doing and what your craft is, and all the screaming, hollering, and everything else that can go on beside you. It does not affect you because you have confidence in what you do and you've done it before, you know. So that's the other side of it. Now, noise, I tune out. People who, you can't do this, you can't do that. Okay, well, you know, we're moving forward. You just tune them out, you know.
Last question before we let you get out of here, Mr. Tinsley. After experiencing so much success, what keeps you motivated?
Success, trying to be working towards success, and also being able to give it back, to pass it on, and to be able to show Larry O'Bannon, Muhammad, that you can be successful, that because you see somebody else out there like you, and has done some of the same things that you're doing, that can be successful. You know, I haven't realized the success that I would like to have, but how important that is the key. I don't want to chase a pipe dream. I don't want to go stretch myself out there farther than I need, because I'm responsible for a lot of other people, not only myself, but for a lot of other people. So I take it step by step. But that competitive spirit, man, you know, it's always burning. You know, as I said, at 74, you know, hell, you know, I still get out there in the gym and I don't as much now, but get out there and compete. You know, so. We won the world championship about 4 years ago at 70 over at Disney, you know, 5-man full court. I didn't think I could do it, but when I was invited to play on the team, it was on. Let's give it a shot and see what happens. So after about 5 days of that, that's probably the last time I'm going to play 5-man full court. But at least that's what I think right now.
That's a blessing to still be able to do it, man. That's a blessing. But Mr. Tinsley, man, we really appreciate you taking time out of your day to come through on the podcast and bless us with your presence, man. Drop some gems on here, and really appreciate you just coming on, just having a talk with us and sharing your experiences.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I appreciate being asked to be a part. And as I said before, I'm very proud of the two of you and what you're doing here with the podcast, as well as whatever you're doing specifically in your own lives. So keep doing it, and understand that it's a marathon. It's not a 100-yard dash. So keep working at whatever you're doing. You're working your trade, and always get up, be motivated, be responsible and accountable for everything that you do.